First of all, we thought we started off right on reconciliation by having an inclusive government. Many of the people who sat around the cabinet and still do are people who were presidential candidates, vice presidential candidates, members of other parties, and many of them still are all non-political people. But as we get to the next election, then it becomes an issue because people begin to, you know, step away and form their own agendas. I think we're in the area of politics, so you hear a lot of that. The TRC report has a lot of good things in it. In fact, those who talk about the root causes of the conflict, the Americo-Liberian issue, and the cleavage that existed is all covered there. To address those things take a while. So we've put the TRC recommendations in different categories. The category that has to do with war crimes is something that we have to be careful with. If you were to take 50-something persons and put them in a war crimes court today, I don't know what would happen in terms of our peace. So we've said on that one, we look at the example of Cambodia and others that says, yes, justice is important, but sometimes you have to make sure how you time it, how you sequence it. There's another group of those who are banned from public office. That has some constitutional implications. Whether 9 people have the right to deprive somebody of their constitutional right without allowing them due process. That has to be tested in the courts, and I think somebody's going to test that in the courts. The suggestion for something of a palaver hut, something like the Rwanda Gacaca thing, is something that we think is good, that we need to pull that together and see if that can be another basis for certain people to go and through the process of forgiveness, confession and forgiveness, that may be able to lessen some of those on the list. Those with economic crimes, that's another category in which they're suggesting asset seize and asset freeze and whatnot. Yes, we have to do it, but we also have to do it in accordance with the law. Our laws are a bit restrictive when it comes to that, based upon legal opinion we have got. So what we've been trying to do is, what is that roadmap for implementation of the recommendation? The institution mandated to do that is the Independent Human Rights Commission. That commission has now been established. So the report is not, although it's with the legislature, but we have established the Independent Human Rights Commission and given them all of the reports. They are now working on an implementation plan. It's not going to happen like people think, that all those recommendations will be implemented in year 1 or year 2. It's not possible. You have to read this to see it. It's the complexity of the recommendation. So they have to come up with some means of implementation, taking into account constitutional issues, things that could undermine the peace, things that can be readily done, things that have financial implications like reparations. Reparations, do we do it to individuals? That's impossible. Otherwise, thousands and thousands of people are affected by the war. Do we do it to communities, restore? Those are the issues so they're very complex, and sometimes people tend to simplify it and just say, oh, the recommendations are there, you should implement it. We are going to implement it, but in a very sequenced manner, taking into account all of these.